Just before lockdown, when my oldest daughter was 16 3/4, I was driving down a lovely straight road on the way to Denmead. I was on the main road, and I was driving some large SUV thing, and a little red car pulled up to my main road. And as I got closer to her, she shot out into my lane. I swerved. I wasn't speeding for once. I swerved and went into the opposite lane of traffic, but she kept going. And I had absolutely nowhere to go. I missed her and her door, but I slammed straight into the wing of her car, completely writing it off. We spun round. I missed the oncoming traffic by inches and drew to a halt. Now, I was absolutely raging mad. I never lose my temper, ever. And not because I'm holier than thou, but because I don't like emotional, confrontational conflict. But I was mad, and I was banging my hands on the steering wheel, and I was screaming. I was mad because I had 3 client appointments, one after the other, and they were beautifully arranged and controlled, and now that was going to be scrapped. I was mad because this is now the 6th time I've crashed. All the others were my fault, but this one, I knew the administrational nightmare that was coming my way. But more than anything else, she hadn't looked. She hadn't even looked. Not a glance, nothing. She had ruined my day and not looked. So I got out of the car, I slammed the door, and I was ready to go and give her blue murder. And the man that I had just missed in the opposite traffic got out of his car and he said to me, "Is anybody hurt?" For goodness sake, Antonia. It was like God had poured a big bucket of water over my head, and I was like, that is the question I should be asking. And it was like, if I was a cartoon, I would have been sort of hair up here like Cruella de Vil, red, pulsating veins, and instead, God threw a bucket of water on me and said, "Calm down, Antonia." And it was a sort of a fizzling wreck. I was like, no, I'm not hurt, it's just me. And I thought, yeah, but she didn't look. And just as I was beginning to fizzle up with anger again, I turned around and I started walking towards the car, and right on top of the car and across the sides was "Caution, learner, driver under instruction." I totaled a learner driver. And I looked at the girl, and she was 17. She was 3 months older than my daughter. And I thought, my goodness me, that could be Lara in 3 months' time. And I was filled with compassion. And I thought, if it was Lara, how would I want me to react? And then the instructor got out of the car and said, I'm so sorry, she pressed the accelerator and not the brake. And so I went round to the driver's door, and people were peeling her fingers off the steering wheel, and she was sobbing and sobbing, and I took her into my arms, and she said, I'm so sorry, and I said, that's why we have insurance. Mercy. To love mercy. I listened back to Dan's talk a couple of weeks ago, and he said, mercy is a gift of the Spirit. And I thought, sure about that. So I pressed pause, Googled. Oh, yeah, you're right. Romans 12. Showing mercy cheerfully is a gift of the Spirit. So today we're going to have a little look at mercy. Why we show mercy, how we show mercy, and then the Hebrew for mercy. So, let me go back a little bit. The dictionary says mercy is compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom it is within one's power to punish or harm. So let's have a little look at why we show mercy. This is from Matthew 18:23 to 35. I'm going to whittle through it really quickly. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like the king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. This is Jesus telling a parable. Okay, so this is Jesus' words. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold, which is the equivalent of $226 million, was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife, his children, and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. His wife and his children sold. Just imagine what that would be. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. "Be patient with me," he begged, "and I will pay everything back." The servant's master took pity on him and cancelled the debt and let him go. But when that servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. "Pay back everything you owe me," he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, "Be patient with me, and I will pay it back." But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and snitched. Then the master called the servant in. "You wicked servant," he said, "I cancelled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you?" In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he could pay what he owes. Jesus says, "This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart." Pretty stern stuff. The $226 million, I quite like that, is made up of two things, isn't it? It's all the wrongdoings that we have done. And it's all the wonderful kindness and generosity that God has showed to us. And if we have been given so much, surely we need to give a lot back. God found a way to cancel our debt by sending Jesus. And he died on the cross for us so that we can stand here and able to have a free relationship with him. And he's given us so much, hasn't he? And should we not give the same mercy to one another? Okay, how do we show mercy? I'm going to look at the prodigal son, which Carla went through with us a few weeks ago. So again, I'm going to speed through this. Again, Jesus speaking. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth on wild living. He didn't take the money, which, by the way, how did the father get? Was it, hey, Dad, I know you paid off your mortgage, but could you remortgage half your house again and give me the money? Or did he sell half his land so he would look out of his bedroom window and say, oh, yeah, that doesn't belong to me anymore? So he had half of his father's wealth that he had worked his whole life for, and he squandered it. Not on investing in a company that went belly up, not on a house that burnt down. He didn't give it away. It wasn't stolen. He squandered it on prostitutes, gambling, drinking, drugs, parties, wild living. As a parent, you're going to feel pretty bad, aren't you? After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen in that country that had sent him into the field to feed pigs. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and didn't open the door, or shouted through the letterbox, "Go away," or gave him an enormous lecture at how he had shamed him in front of his friends and his neighbours, or said, "You can come in, but you're going to have to work like a slave until you've repaid me back." No. He was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms round him and kissed him. The son said, "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe, put it on him. Put a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." Now the elder brother became angry and refused to go in. "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you, and I've never disobeyed your orders. But when this son of yours has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad." Now then, I want to have a look at some of the points in here. How do we give mercy based on the parable? So the first is, at no point does what the son has done wrong ever be ignored. It's not thrown under the carpet. It's not sort of scrubbed out. It's not, "Oh, well, never mind." 5 times in there, it's mentioned what he's done, and the son is saying, "I've done this." 5 times. So to give mercy and sort of forgiveness, we need to hold in the importance that it's due the wrongdoing that's gone on. Secondly, I have to put my glasses on because I put my wrong contact lenses in. I can't read my notes. Right, okay. Secondly, we need to become a people like the Father that their first reaction is compassion, not judgment. It takes a long time. Andrew and I we love mercy. Our house often has people in it that have really messed up, and we absolutely love giving and doing this process with people. But it's really hard. It's a muscle, though, and as you practice the muscle, Andrew and I, can be moved to compassion much more quickly than we used to. It's also remembering what the end goal is. Ultimately, we want everybody to be close to God and more like Jesus, make disciples of all men, right? So how do we help people change? The best way for change is to be loved, not judged. I always try and be the person that comes out of the house as my lovely wrongdoer comes driving in. I want to be opening the door and opening their car door and putting my arms out and saying, "Give me a hug." They've messed up, but I want to be like that father that goes, "Come on in, and then let's deal with this." The dad, just like in the first parable, cancels the debt. He doesn't say you need to work to repay me. He cancels it. But he also covers his son. So everybody knows what he's done wrong. But he puts robes on him and sandals on him, so he covers up his failures. He covers up the fact that he's starving, hungry, and he's in rags. He puts a ring on his finger to say, "This is my son." Yes, he's messed up. Real big time shamed me, but he's my son. And he puts a ring on his finger, and God does the same to us. We've really messed up. But I'm a daughter of God. I still have the ring on his finger. And what he's done wrong doesn't define him. He's not this is the son that worked hard and this is the one that squandered it. This is my son. He comes in. We're going to celebrate his return. But there's a backlash to showing mercy. I don't know if you're sort of sitting there and squirming. When I first started going on sort of my journey towards giving my life to God, forgiveness was a thing that really stuck in my throat for months. I just I don't get it. I just don't understand how you could do that. So if you're sitting squirming, I get it. I'm with you. There's a backlash to showing mercy. So Andrew and I have had people angry with us, that have mocked us, that have, lamented at the unfairness of how we're treating people. We've been thought of as weak, questioned our judgment of people, think whether we're a walkover. It's counter-cultural to show mercy, more so now than ever before. And I was thinking, sometimes we used to think that church was where you go and it's a bunch of rules, and if you don't follow them, you. But actually, in the world now, if you make one mistake, you're criticised openly online or in gossip, no end. So the kingdom of God, as we know, is topsy-turvy. Mercy is what we should be showing. And if the church gets it right, and if we get it right as people, individuals within the church, that should be where people run the church. Because in the world, the judgment is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And we see that in the press and on social media, no end. And remember, the Pharisees complained that Jesus was having dinner with the tax collectors. Now, we know that Jesus spent hours with people that were vulnerable and poor, but it doesn't say Jesus spent time with the victims of the fraud of the tax collectors. He went and had dinner with the tax collectors and the sinners, and we should therefore be doing the same and showing mercy and helping them change to be the people God wants them to be. There are consequences still, though. If you notice right at the end of that, the father said, "Everything I have is yours." So the younger son isn't getting any more inheritance. He's spent it. He's going to have to live in the consequences of what he's done, and any punishment is going to come from God. We shouldn't be the ones giving punishment. We should acknowledge that what they've done will have consequences, and they're going to have to live in it, and life experiences will teach them within it. But don't worry that God won't ensure that there's justice and consequences. And finally, Micah says we need to love mercy. We need to do this cheerfully and lovingly. That's being patient and kind, knowing that mercy takes years. It's not just a sort of one thing. If we want to see the change in people, we have to be investing in people for years to really see that work through. Quick note, though, I don't ever want you to think that I'm suggesting that if you're in an abusive situation that you should stay in it. That is absolutely not what I'm saying at all. And if you find yourself in that, then there are people here in the church, the leaders that can help you and guide you somewhere. But in non-abusive situations, we need to be trying to become more like Jesus. So, finally, the Hebrew of mercy. Did you notice in the Bible where you have the beggar and the man with leprosy and the Canaanite women? They said, "Jesus, have mercy on me," when he walked past. So it's not the same type of mercy we've just been talking about, is it? Because they hadn't done anything wrong. So this is them saying, "Please help me." Now, in Micah, when you look at it, it was written in Hebrew. The Hebrew word for mercy there is hesed. Don't know that I pronounced that right. But it means, and I've got it written down here, profound emotional response to others' needs, deep compassion and empathy felt in the face of suffering. So this is what Jesus was doing. He was looking at a vulnerable person and meeting their needs. So it's like a different side of the coin of mercy. Giving because we're so profoundly affected by somebody's vulnerability, but lovingly doing it. So my other daughter, Mariella, has got a bit of a passion for the homeless, which she has caught from her dad. Her and her friend Jackson, when they go out and about, they have this little agreement with each other that the first person that talks to the homeless person means the second person has to go and buy them dinner. So they have a bit of a race. Who can get there first and show mercy the quickest? Who can be the one that is the most generous? I got a text from her. She's gone to university the other night. She said, "Mum, it took me an hour and a half to get back from the nightclub because I met 3 homeless people and had to keep going back to the Greg's 24/7 to buy them pizza." I did think, why do you not take sandwiches? But then it was to the club, so that would not have worked. Love showing mercy. Walk around going, how can I do it? Who can I give my time to? Who can I say kind words to? Who can I give food to? Who can I give money to ease their way? Who can I make a meal for? Send a text, ring up and invite them round for dinner. So, Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Not the other way round. We need to. Micah said it is required. We need to show mercy. We need to show forgiveness, and we need to be generous to the people, particularly that are very vulnerable. And then God will continue to show the same to us. Church of England, when they do their confession, say, "I have sinned in thought and word and deed, and what I have left undone." Gosh, my thoughts can be wicked. And I'm forgiven for that. Thank you, because without it, I would be a mess. Let's give the same to other people.